All right. Well, before we get started, let's tackle Scott's question. I know you're not consuming at the moment, but we'll go desert island. You get one beer, one bourbon, one food.
Ooh, um, I would go with Blanton's because that's the most expensive bourbon I've ever had and tasted, and probably the best bourbon I've ever had and tasted.
Yes, yes.
Um, for food, anything from I would say Gates Barbecue. Um, and then for beer, see, beer is tough for me because it depends on what season.
Right.
Like right now, if we're talking like right now, what would I go to? It would be a stout.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's go. Let's go desert islands. 80 degrees and sunny every day.
Okay. Um, I'm trying to think because I haven't had I haven't had beer in so long, and I don't want to say Bush Light.
Right. Although, hey, that's an easy drinker for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, that's water. Um, okay, I would go with OG.
All right. So you got OG, you got Blanton's, and you got Gates Barbecue.
Yep.
I like it. Man, are you picking for me here or what?
Close.
All right. Bourbon, I'm gonna go Central Standard Red Cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Uh beer. I wish they still made it, but they don't. But this is it's all hypothetical. So I'm gonna go Mobcraft Fruity Hopples.
Ooh.
And food. Oh man. See, this one's a tough one for me because it's like it varies.
I know. I was thinking like, do I just say pizza? But then it's like, what kind of pizza?
That's yeah, dude. I'm in the same boat here. I think this is not going to keep me alive very long, but I'm going to go buffalo chicken dip.
Oh yeah, solid.
I'm going to be shitting myself on that island all day, every day.
Yep. I honestly, I shocked myself. I'm surprised I didn't go with T-Bell.
Oh yes,
Fuck it.
it's like what was that movie Richie Rich where he's got a McDonald's in his house?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out to Scott at MKE Blues _ Scott on Twitter for the question for tonight's pod. Matt, let's get into it.
Let's.
I think it's only fitting to start this episode off just with a big, deep sigh, because, oh man.
Oh, you are teeing this up so good.
Enzo to me looks like a more agile, basically a young Chess Fabregas.
It's a Rolls Royce, man. Gotta sell it.
Messi is the Jorginho of international football. That was a dumb take.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to another episode of Flag Stays Down podcast. We are 1 week away from all three of us being in the same room together, which has not happened in a long, long time. Looking forward to that. But tonight, it's just Matt and I. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good. Long weekend. Got to spend it with my kid. While my wife was busy earning that money. So yeah, got to hang out with him for a while. He's got a new truck that makes a lot of noise. So that was fun. Just kind of being around that for 8+ hours a day. But no, my parents were kind enough to kind of come, hang out, let me get some stuff done around the house. So I was able to, get the grass cut. I put up my Christmas lights already, so that is done. capitalized on a good weekend, a good weather weekend. So I'm getting it done now. So lights are all done. They're not on. Don't worry for anybody listening. Like, you're putting up Christmas lights and they're running. No, they're not on right now. They're just up. So I got that done. Installed the baby gate today for the stairs going down to the basement. So yeah, just kind of getting some housework stuff taken care of. But all in all, pretty solid weekend. How was yours, Collins?
Oh, it was good. It was Aiden's soccer season is over. Just about everything we got going on is over. So man, this is the first weekend that I could just relax, clean the house in anticipation of you and Parker possibly coming over next weekend. I'm sure the house will get messy before then, but it was worth the effort. And yeah, other than that, chilled at Mobcraft, former good friend of the pod, with my parents today. So the question from Scott about beer and food really hit home for me, because that's what's on the mind right now. But I will say it is weird. I don't like Friday games. I don't like Monday games. I don't like, I mean, we have stuff to talk about, but I don't like releasing this pod the same day that we're going to have a game.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get, we're probably going to get two very drastic tones. That's kind of the roll of the dice, especially this year with Chelsea. We might be positive and uplifting when this is released, and we, hopefully it's going to be the same, but we might start our work week out like shit. So we'll see how that goes. At least with like the Saturday game, or even the Sunday, like, you can have that day or extra day to kind of mentally recover. But now when you start piling work on top of it in the beginning of the work week, then it just becomes a pain in the ass. So hopefully it's all positive. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to watch the game because I'll be at work. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, we do have a couple things to touch on from, before leading up to the Spurs match on Monday here. Real quick, we did advance in the Carabao Cup. We're going to play Newcastle in the quarterfinals.
I think so.
We got Badiashile scoring on his return from injury. We got Raheem Sterling on the score sheet again. Just real quick, Matt, any thoughts from the Carabao Cup win over Blackburn midweek?
Yeah, we actually looked good for 90 minutes. Sorry, yeah, I'll say 89, because at the beginning of the second half, that was very worrisome. But overall, for a full match, that was the most cohesive and most dominant we've looked start to finish. Granted, it is against Blackburn. I understand that, but still, a lot of times we're seeing this now, like some of those big teams can get taken out by those smaller teams. You still got to treat it like it's a big Premier League match. And I think we did that, and we showed that we're definitely a class above Blackburn. So I was excited to see that. The return of Badiashile was great. Reese being out there for the 65, 70-ish minutes. That's good. Getting him back up to speed. Cole Palmer doing Cole Palmer things. Again, yeah, I can't talk enough good about him. He just looks so confident out there. It's just fun to watch. The only worrisome part is still, where in the world is Nico Jackson? I was actually watching the game right before potting, and the commentator, when Jackson skied that ball from Chris Wondolowski range just outside the 6-yard box, he made the reference of he used a pitching wedge to try and strike that ball. And that's just somebody who is playing with zero confidence right now. And it's tough to see. You want to see him thrive, but stuff like that, when you're that close, like, you can't be skying it up to the top tier when you're that close. It's just, it's not a good look for him. And I know that with the Chelsea fan base, pressure is mounting. But you got to be able to at least put something on target, if not close to target. Like, that wasn't even close. That was Rudiger blast from 40 yards out range, and he pulled it off from 6 yards. So, but all in all, it's a good solid win. We're on the score sheet. We kept a clean sheet despite Bobby Sanchez's best efforts. But hey, we advanced to the next round. So that's all you hope for in those matches.
Yeah. I had the same thoughts. I think it's very evident that, and especially at his young age, Nicholas Jackson is a confidence guy. A couple goals I feel like are gonna go a long way with him. Because he looked all out of sorts, looked almost confused at times, didn't look great, but it is what it is. We advance, and I guess my biggest takeaway is, like I said on last week's pod, the Carabao Cup is going to be one of our more important campaigns of this year, because it's an automatic bid into some level of Europe. What did we decide last week? It was a conference league qualifier.
Yeah.
Which gets you in the door, right? That's, at this rate, that's the best that we're gonna do. So keep pounding away at that. So on to the quarterfinals. We'll face Newcastle. A lot of the big dogs already out, which is good. So if you can get past Newcastle, then they've got their own shit to worry about with Champions League and FA Cup and Premier League, and it's possible, it's doable. The other little bit of news from this week, I guess from this weekend, it was yesterday, right in the middle of Chelsea women's match against Villa, which they thrubbed Aston Villa 6-0. Emma Hayes set to leave at the end of the season. The Athletic, David Ornstein, reporting that she is in talks with a U.S. Soccer Federation. I almost said U.S. Women's National Team, but that's not official. With the USSF on taking over as the manager of the women's team. Matt, I know that we're kind of looking from afar at the women's team. We are admirers of theirs, but we don't follow them as closely as the men's team. Any thoughts on Emma Hayes?
Have her coach the men's and women's team. Give her both. Give her the keys. Just let her do her thing. It's great for U.S. soccer, specifically for the women's game, because Emma Hayes is, I think, widely regarded as one of the best women's coaches on the planet. So for us as U.S. women's national team supporters, and we have a very dominant tradition of being the top team, for us to go out and get a top tier coach like that, it's outstanding. I think she's going to bring a different style to the U.S. that I think we saw was lacking at the World Cup. I watched it pretty closely. It didn't look like the same team. There really wasn't that kind of hunger that previous, get them down, then stomp on their throat kind of mentality. It just wasn't there. And I think somebody with Emma Hayes' reputation, she will be able to bring that back. So I'm really excited for the news and to see her come to the States.
Yeah, we had even thrown Emma Hayes out there as a candidate for the men's team after Tuchel and after Potter were sacked. Did she necessarily get a go at it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all if she even got a look. But man, it's bittersweet. I love Chelsea more than I love the U.S. in football. Chelsea women has always been the nice thing to turn on a Sunday when Chelsea aren't playing on the weekend. Because man, it's the Chelsea of old, where it's like you tune in, you're going to get a win out of it. You're going to get some goals. It's nice. It's been nice to watch, and it's sad to see her go. Absolutely. I think the only trophy that she hasn't won at Chelsea has been the Champions League. So it'd be nice to see them go out and win that for her this year. But she's done it all. And you talk about players or managers who deserve a statue, and usually the criteria is, well, not necessarily somebody who won a lot, but somebody who changed the profession, somebody who in this case changed women's football. Emma Hayes has done that. Look at what she's done over the past, let's see, since 2012. God, last 11 years. Won the Premier League. God, how many years in a row now? 7, 8, something like that. She's taken to a couple Champions League finals, won all kinds of cups, all kinds of silverware. And especially at a time when women's football wasn't as prioritized in England as it is here in America. She deserves a statue outside of Kings Meadow or Stamford Bridge. Rename Kings Meadow. I don't care what you got to do, but she deserves recognition from the club. That being said, like you said, I'm excited to see her with the U.S. Women's National Team. She's got a little bit of U.S. history. We see her on ESPN during the Women's World Cup and Women's Euros and all that. She coached the Red Stars for a stint. I think she did some collegiate coaching over here as well at one point. So she's got a grasp on the U.S. game. She knows how to win. She knows expectations. There's that famous clip of her saying, hey, we were shit. This is Chelsea. Like, you have to be better than this. And I think the same goes. The standard is right there for the U.S. Women's National Team. So I think she's a good fit. She's not going to be a pushover for this group, which is something that they need. So bittersweet, but happy she did not go to a team, a club, a national team that I despise. Yeah, she's staying in-house in terms of the flag stays down, right?
Exactly. I was just about to say that she's not necessarily going anywhere. She's just kind of switching a little bit, but that's okay. We'll still respect her and everything like that. But no, I thoroughly think that she is the perfect person for the U.S. Women's National Team position, and I'm excited to see what she can bring.
Jesus, I'm scrolling through her resume right now. 236 wins and 333 matches at Chelsea for 71% win percentage.
She basically turned the Chelsea women's team into like PSG of Liga 1.
She's won the league 6 times. She's won the FA Cup 5 times. She's won the League Cup twice, Community Shield once. She's been knighted. Jesus, yeah.
Well, she should have.
There is not a better candidate for the U.S. Women's National Team than Emma Hayes. All right. Well, let's turn back to the men's team here. That's what we specialize in here on the Flag Stays Down podcast. We got a match tomorrow. Got the derby. Aiden and I were listening to Liquidator today, singing "We Hate Tottenham," Chelsea. Then it's about that time. So we've got Spurs, who are the last unbeaten team in the Premier League this season, against us, sitting in 14th now after today's results. Yeah, not great. So with the Monday night fixture, Matt, how do you see this one going?
It's tough to say because yes, coming off the Blackburn win, that's a positive, right? We went on a little bit of a tear. We had the poor match against Brentford. We have Blackburn, right? It looks like kind of a bounce back, like a good kind of warm up match for Tottenham. Tottenham's playing well. I don't think anybody saw how impactful or how well James Maddison would be for them, but he is firing on all cylinders, playing like the James Maddison that we all know and love from Leicester. So he's fit in really well. They've got some other players emerging. They're playing with a different style. They just look like a very formidable team right now. That being said, it is Tottenham. So I could see them, just being their Spursy selves. But I think it's going to be a classic derby. It's going to be a kind of a knockdown, drag out type affair. Especially with Pochettino being back, that adds a little bit more to an already fueled derby. So I could see quite a few yellows getting thrown around and maybe a red or two. But as far as score, I want to sound optimistic, but right now I'm not. I still think goal scoring is at a premium for us right now. Like, it's very, very hit and miss, literally. So I think Tottenham 2-1.
See, I think it's gonna be close. I think, like you said, it's gonna be kind of knockout, drag out, or knockdown, drag out. Cards all over the place, just because of the history of this fixture. But I will say, and having watched the Blackburn match and having watched the Brentford match and every match, we watch every match here. We play to the level of our competition, and that's just part of being a young team. Is that we're going to do that. I think we have one of those games. I think it's going to look like the Arsenal game. It's going to look like the Liverpool game, where we just ball out and people are like, "Oh, we're title contenders," after, coming out of this one, and then we, drop our next 3 or something like that. But I can see 2-1 the other way. I'm not sure where those goals come from, because, like you said, it's hit or miss at the moment. But I think we find a way. I think Maddison or Son probably scores for Spurs, but probably a 67th minute winner for us. But while talking about conceding here, I think one thing that's important to consider now, we have 4 healthy center backs. Can't remember the last time we had 4 healthy center backs. We got Badiashile, Axel Disasi, Levi Colwill, and Thiago Silva. So, Matt, against a very attacking Spurs squad, how do you line up that back four?
I mean, the back four, I think the right and left are pretty solidified with Reece and Cucurella. I think it would be tough to have Levi Colwill take that left back position away from Cucurella at this point right now with how he's been playing. And yes, I am the first person to say I am not a Marc Cucurella fan, but I will respect what he has been doing. He has been stepping up to the challenge, and it's good to see. And he's playing very, very well right now. So I think it's very difficult to try and take him out of that spot. Now, as far as who else do you play? Center backs, I mean, roll the dice and see what happens. I think you need Axel there. I think you need that big body, whether it's on the offensive side or defensive side. He looks like one of our more composed center backs. And just his size alone is hard to overlook. Now it becomes a question of who else do you play? I don't think Badiashile plays. I think coming off of that ankle injury, he got 70 minutes against Blackburn. It's a good way to come back. It wasn't, necessarily the highest caliber of team, but it was a good way to kind of introduce him back to the squad. Yes, he did get that very beautiful striker's goal, which I was very happy to see. I don't think he makes the starting 11. He's definitely going to be on the bench. I don't think he makes the 11. So then you're left with Silva and Colwill. Do you go with youth or do you go with experience? That's really my only thing right now. I think, putting away my personal feelings for Thiago Silva, I think you have to go with Levi Colwill in this game. He's a little bit more versatile in the things that he can do. Silva can read the game so well. That's what helps him at his age, to see like the different lanes and where things are going to happen. He's able to just see everything like 2 passes before it happens. So that definitely helps him out. But in a game like that, I think you're going to need to be able to have somebody with a little bit more pep in their step. So I think Colwell gets the nod, but I could easily see Silva being out there with Disasi just for that experience and leadership factor.
Did we swap bodies or something today? Like what is happening? Because I'm benching Cucurella for this one. I understand Cucurella's had a great couple matches here. But you look at that Spurs attack, and you got and just looking back to their last match against Palace, you got Son up top, and then you've got Richarlison, James Maddison, and Kulusevski, with Pedro Porro bombing also down that side. I think you need Colwell on that left to kind of solidify things. Earlier in the year, remember we were running that kind of weird back three, back four, whatever you want to call it. I think you see something similar here with either Raz or Mudryk in front of him there, just to pin Pedro Porro back. And then you've got Colwell to assist, because I don't think you drop Thiago Silva for this match. Personally, I would, but I don't see Pochettino doing that. He relies on Thiago Silva pretty heavily. So I think that back four is going to be Reece James, Axel Disasi, Thiago Silva, and Levi Colwell across the back. I agree. I think Benoit would be a great sub late in the game. I don't think he makes the 11, but definitely makes the 18. Late in the game, maybe switch to a back five and throw Badia Shield back there. I think that's fantastic. But I hate to say it, but I think we have to go a little bit of a low block against Spurs, the way they're scoring the ball. Then you got Enzo and Caicedo in front of that back four, kind of holding down the fort. I think you unfortunately have to go pretty defensive in this one and play for the counter.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I just don't know if that's going to be Pochettino's attitude. We've seen what happens when we try a low block. We usually get shithoused. I don't think our team is built for that right now. So I think we are still going to be pressing forward, still going to try and control possession. And I think, unfortunately, I think that plays to Tottenham's strength, right? They are lethal on the counter. Their high press is very good as well. So I'll call it right now. I'm predicting 2 potential Bobby Sanchez errors. 2. They might not lead to goals. I just want to be clear on that. But I could see 2 potential, like, oh my God, what is he doing? But I don't know. We haven't played well we haven't played well in a low block. I think we keep going with how we are, which is attack minded, and keep pressing forward, and hopefully force Kulusevski, Son, Maddison to all kind of have to drop back. Richarlison, I don't give a shit if he's standing in the circle the entire time. I don't trust him to score a goal. That being said, now that I say it, he probably will. But I just, if anything, I could see him being the one that gets red carded.
Well, that was me. My next question. Richarlison has 2 goals in his Spurs career at this point. We talk about this being a chippy match, yellow cards, red cards, stuff like that. Richarlison, I'm sure, will be carded at some point because he's the Spurs king of shithousery. Do you play Nico Jackson in this one with how kind of reckless he is with his cards? Or do you
I wouldn't play him just because he's not playing well. Forget the other stuff. I just wouldn't play him because he's not playing well. I think if Mudryk is available, you run kind of that front 3 of Mudryk, Raz, Cole Palmer, and kind of let them do what they do. It's a very creative front 3 with them out there. So I like that. And then you have Connor kind of, doing what he can to boss the midfield. He's definitely going to be box to box and everything that he does. So I personally would not start Nico Jackson if Mudryk is healthy. If not, then I think you have to play him. I don't think Noni is a good enough option in a game this big to be able to do that. So I think it has to be either Nico or Mudryk.
What about Broya? Or is he more of a off the bench kind of option for you?
I think Broya is going to be more of an off the bench, specifically because Mudryk still is only at 65, 70 minutes max. That's perfect because then you can move Raz to one side, Palmer to the other, and then have Broya be the focal point and give Tottenham a different look. So I like that strategy.
Well, Matt, I like that front three. I'm in agreement on that front three, which is shocking. It must just be a like Parker being gone thing that we tend to agree on stuff. But I like Mudryk, Sterling, Palmer. I wouldn't mind Noni in there on that right wing and putting Palmer in place of like a Gallagher. But I can go either way on that.
I think in a game like this, you need Gallagher. Like, you absolutely need him out there. I don't think Noni is going to do the stuff that he would do. I don't think Palmer would do the stuff to the level that Gallagher is doing it right now. And if you ask Cole Palmer to come back and play defense, then that takes away from one of our best assets going forward. So I think you need somebody like a Gallagher to kind of be in there and just body it up with that Tottenham midfield.
That's fair. Yeah, and I think Gallagher's strengths play towards this kind of match with a very fluid attacking team. He's somebody who can kind of cause chaos, which this pod is a big fan of, right? But one thing that did come out earlier today, Sunday, is Mauricio Pochettino, after his press conference, after the cameras went off but the mic stayed on, was asked about managing against his former club. He spent 6 years at Tottenham. Made some comments that I don't know if people are just not reading the full text of the of what was said, which is very very possible. We know how Twitter and X work, right? Or is this a situation where you've got a manager longing for a past life, right? So Pochettino was asked about formerly managing Spurs. He said he wouldn't be celebrating goals against Tottenham and that he normally never does celebrate goals at all. He's usually asking his staff, what about this? What about that? He mentioned it wasn't his choice to leave Tottenham and that he would go back at some point down the road if he was asked. But he also said, hey, I could be managing Chelsea for the next 20 to 25 years until I die. So a lot of people are angry and upset about Pochettino still having feelings for Tottenham. Matt, where do you land on this?
I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me. Like, he turned that program around. Like, he really did. Yes, he didn't get him all the way to the finish line. We all know that. But he turned that team into something over the course of that project, because his project started the same time as Klopp's. I think him and Klopp kind of started around the same time. So I'm not concerned about it. I don't even know if concern is the right word, but shit happens. Like, yes, he coached there for 6 years. It meant a lot to him to take them where they were to where he took them to. Yeah, I'm fine with it. If he wants to go back after Chelsea, so be it. Like, it's his responsibility as a manager. He can go wherever he wants. I don't know what the issue is. So I'm very confused as to why this is even an uproar to begin with.
Well, I think the quote that was taken out of context, and I blame fucking Matt Law for this, Mr. Ride Mason Mount's dick. he took the quote out of context and then put it behind a paywall for the Guardian or one of those English things. But the quote, when asked about his personal ambition and about being dismissed by Daniel Levy and company, he said, quote, "It's like life. You never know what is going to happen tomorrow. We need to enjoy today and not look too much into the future. But for sure, if I'm not working, and maybe if they want me one day, why not?"
Again, what's wrong with that?
No, and I think about it as, just as you and I, typical American working people, you enjoyed a place that you worked, but it just wasn't. And I know this doesn't apply to you, Mister. I've been at the same job for forever. But I like the place that I work, and this scenario wasn't necessarily a good fit. So went somewhere else. But I would go back. I had good memories there. I have friends there. It launched my career, kind of thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, yes, I understand Tottenham is one of Chelsea's main rivals, right? But this, oh my God, this just, it comes off as, I guess the Matt Law thing is pretty fitting, because it comes off as all those people, licking Mason Mount's nuts, and Kai Havertz and Pulisic and all, like, dude, at the end of the day, this is a business. And in the same interview, he said, "Hey, I would like to be coaching Chelsea for 20 to 25 years." Now, no Chelsea manager will ever do that ever.
Yep.
But it's nice to think about. And I think so far he's done a great job. He talks about how he doesn't have the emotional connection yet with the fans because it's only been 4 months. And at Spurs, it was 6 years. But he talks about how we're well on our way for that. And I think it's possible, but God, people just need to stop being so doomsday about everything. It's getting embarrassing at this point.
Yeah, it's not like he's fabricating anything. He's just saying how he feels. Like, he's just saying, yeah, I like where I'm at right now. If things change, if they gave me an opportunity, if I'm not here, then yeah, I definitely look at it and probably go back. Fine. It's a normal conversation. Like, it's all getting drawn way out of proportion for whatever. Everybody with their Twitter fingers just need something to bitch about today because maybe it was a slow day. It's just so dumb. Yeah, it's dumb. All these idiots can fuck off.
Now, I will ask the question. I know we talked about at one point having this being a recurring segment. We're getting into holiday crunch time. December and January are usually busy months for Chelsea. If we are in this middle of the table, top of the bottom half of the table, come January, is Pochettino on the hot seat?
No. I firmly don't believe so, because if you look at everybody that was brought in and you've seen the interviews, the reports, everybody, they know, like, I think it was Desassi. He talked to like Badia Shield about the project. Like, they all refer to it as the project. It's not come play for this team. No, it's a project that they're working on. The project takes time. I think we have the backing. I think we have the right manager in position. I think we see what this team can be capable of in a very short amount of time, right? We see the moments of brilliance. And again, we don't even have a fully healthy squad. So I think we're trending in the right direction, but it is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. I think right now we're doing a reasonably good job with, we started the season a little rough. Then we kind of went on that little streak. We had a little slip up. We came back, we rebounded pretty quick. So now we just got to see, how this whole thing plays out. And I think we're at a point right now where people are starting or should be starting to figure out things with one another. Who plays well with who, things like that. I think we're getting back to that point, especially with a lot of the people that were out with injuries coming back. So I think we're starting to find some of that. Obviously you start to see things like, Caicedo, when he finally settled in, what he can do. Cole Palmer and what he was able to do in a very short amount of time just coming over. Axel Disasi, everybody was like, who? And he's turning into one of our best center backs. There's just a lot of different pieces moving right now. And I think everybody is starting to realize what their role is and how they can, help be a part of this project and what they can contribute to the ultimate goal, which is, getting back to Europe, winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League, all that stuff, right? Getting Chelsea back to where we know them to be. It's not going to happen overnight. You even look at any team pretty much. Like Liverpool took them a while to get back to where they were. City took them a while. United is still trying to find their way back. Tottenham were shit for a while. They started coming back under Pochettino. They were trending kind of negatively over the last couple of years, but now they have Ange come in and they're starting to trend back in the right direction. I think that we're doing good so far. Obviously, it's a results-driven business. We are working on that, but all things considered, I think we are doing what needs to be done to make this project successful.
Yeah, I would agree. And our listeners know that I come from the old school, which isn't really that old, of things aren't going well, then you sack them, right? But no, I think Pochettino has been doing a great job. I said, when they hired him, that how I would view progress is seeing players progress. And I've seen that out of quite a few players. You've seen it out of Gallagher. Cole Palmer has been a revelation. Axel Disasi has been solid back there after some early hiccups. There's been a lot of improvements across the board. Look at Raheem Sterling from last year to this year. You taking a look at veterans. Mihajlo Mudryk has looked better. There's been a lot of improvement, and I think, what's the stat now? All except one game this year in all comps, we have won the XG, which doesn't mean a hell of a lot, but it means we're creating more real chances than our opponents. So law of averages, I say it every week, law of averages means this has got to start evening out here. And I think Pochettino's the right guy to lead this project. So he's got my vote.
Is that the Matt law of averages that you keep referring to?
Nice. Well, Matt, I do real quick want to touch on a poll, because we did not run a man of the match or man to get the fuck out of here. None of us could watch the game live this week, but we did watch it a little bit later, because we all work, right? But we did run a poll about 10 days ago that we never got to talk about on last week's pod, and that is, who is Chelsea's best summer signing so far? We threw it up on X. We got a hell of a lot of votes on this, so thank you to all who voted on that. You can check out our polls on X. Just search @FlagDownPod. But your options are Moises Caicedo, Cole Palmer, Axel Disasi, or Nico Jackson. Of course, you can certainly write in. We had 10 signings this summer. You can write in anyone you want there, but if you had to pick out of those four, who would you pick?
So for me, it's a tough one between Disasi and Cole Palmer. And the only reason for that it's not like Caicedo is because Caicedo, he did not start off his Chelsea career very positively. It took him some time, which, again, we've talked about that. I don't think he should have come in that match at all. But it wasn't a great start. And again, from me, my perspective, a position I don't fully understand / have an appreciation for, is his role. I know the work that he does. It's not always the stuff that shows up on the stat sheet or anything like that, but I know what he's capable of. So I think he's still working on that partnership with Enzo, and even Gallagher to that extent. Whenever the three of them are out there, they kind of just interchange all the time. So I think they're still working that out. Disasi kind of came out of nowhere. So I think that's more of the surprise signing as far as how positive he turned out. I think Cole Palmer is more surprising in the fact of how quick he made an impact. And you threw him into the squad and boom, he's ready to go, hit the ground running, and he hasn't looked back since. I think for me, I think Cole Palmer with Disasi a very, very close second.
Yeah, I think Cole Palmer, I think, has been more. I don't know if he's been the summer signing of the season for me, but he's been the surprise. I mentioned last week that we kind of failed up into signing him. I think Manchester City has done a terrible job of holding on to some of their key talent. You look at some of the people they've lost over the last 2 years. This just seems like another mistake on their part. Man, but for me, it's Disasi. Parker mentioned earlier this year that this defense doesn't look like a league leading defense, which they are. Thiago Silva has shown some cracks. Badiashiel's been injured. Fofana's been out. Levi Colwell has looked good, but he's shifted around. Reece James been injured. Chilwell's been injured. It's been a mess back there. Disasi has been a calming force. And I think going out and signing a 25-year-old, somebody entering his prime from the French league, where we historically have signed players who've turned out very well, and somebody who has captained his side for a couple of years. Axel Disasi is a leader on this team. Yeah, I don't know how much English he speaks. I don't know how well he gets along with the non-French speakers, but he seems to be the first person congratulating everybody all the time. He is the regen of Rudiger, but without all the yellow cards. So talking about a position that goes a little bit under the radar, with you being the number 6. I think in general, center back, just because we're so used to Thiago Silva, is one that goes under the radar. For me, it's Axel Disasi. But like you said, I think Caicedo could be in the conversation. Palmer is definitely in the conversation. Jackson, not so much at this point.
He was in preseason.
Yes, he was. And so, I will say, a couple goals, a couple games, a couple goals here. I think Jackson's right back in that mix because, like I said, he's a confidence guy. Mm-hmm. Right now, he just doesn't have any.
Yep.
But I don't know if this was recency bias coming off of a win where Palmer, I think, scored and assisted a couple of weeks ago. He came away with 88% of the vote. Moises Caicedo in second, Disasi and Jackson in third with less than 2% each. So kind of a landslide there, but maybe a little bit of recency bias. All right. Well, last thing, and I know, like I said, we did not post a poll for this match, but Matt, do you have a man of the match for our match against Blackburn?
Blackburn's kit. That would be my man of the match. I loved it. I'm surprised, Collins, that you didn't love it, considering you used to have a pair of shoes that were that exact color. I actually like their kit. The top part of their kit. I'll say that. I like that. I would be perfectly fine with that. It was outlandish. It was highlighter yellow, had some cool designs weaved into it. I was a fan of that. But as far as person, I don't want to say it, but I kind of will. Cole Palmer. He just, I don't know what it is about him, but like that dude, he's just smooth. Like he is just smooth. Just footwork, the balls that he can, just throw into the box. He's got something different. And I think he had a great performance against Blackburn.
Yeah, and mine, I like the Palmer one, but him being subbed off. Yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, if it's between a couple players and somebody gets subbed off and somebody doesn't, it just kind of falls off there. But Palmer had a great match. Raheem Sterling, I thought, had a fantastic match. The matches where he is unafraid to go at people and is willing to drive down to that touch line and take people on are some of his best matches, and he had one of those absolutely here. I would also like to give a shout to Enzo Fernandez. His creativity, it didn't lead to anything, but some of those chip balls through, some of his just harassing people in a very bunched up Blackburn midfield. Mm-hmm. I thought it was worth commending, but no, Raheem Sterling was my man of the match. All right. Well, we will most likely, we'll see how my work schedule looks tomorrow. We will most likely post a poll tomorrow for the Tottenham match, man of the match and man of the get the fuck out of here. Again, you can check those out on X. Just search for us at Flag Down Pod. Matt, any closing thoughts for this week?
You're up for a fun match tomorrow. Should be a dandy.
All right. Well, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Just a heads up, Google Podcasts is going away apparently. So if you listen to us there, make sure to start checking us out after the first of the year on YouTube Music. Make sure to follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, Reddit, all at Flag Down Pod. But Matt, it's been a pleasure this week. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and Parker next weekend, live and in the flesh. And until then, we hate Tottenham, Chelsea.
Cheers.